presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, a joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
A Friday inside the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you, getting you geared up for Oregon softball season. In just a week, we'll hear from Coach Lombardi, who met with the media yesterday. There were so many student athletes who also met with the media yesterday. We'll get that for you throughout next week on Duck Insider, as well as on our Go Ducks YouTube channel. You can check out all of those interviews with the student athletes previewing the opening of Oregon softball season, the first pitch, which is a week from today. 10 a.m. in Clearwater, Florida against Missouri for the Clearwater Classic, the leadoff classic, where Oregon will play Missouri, Clemson, Liberty, Tennessee, and Southeastern Louisiana. All teams that made it into the tournament last year, and most of them made it into a super regional last year. That's how good this opening slate is for Oregon softball. We'll hear from Coach Lombardi in just a moment. We'll also hear from Chris Clayton. Him and Joey Mack discussed Oregon women's basketball as Chris is on the road with the Ducks on their East Coast swing after a victory over Rutgers earlier in the week. Now preparing to play Maryland coming up tomorrow for Oregon women's basketball. Conversation with Joey Mack and Chris Clayton as well. It's Friday. It's Friday, January 30th, which means that your football ticket renewal deadline, it's today. If you want to renew your Oregon football season tickets, today is the last day you can do so for your 2025 seat locations at your discounted loyalty price. Visit goducks.com/FBTix. Renewing by the deadline ensures that you keep your seats and continue to enjoy priority benefits tied to your season ticket loyalty. Come to all the home games inside Autzen Stadium. Boise State, Portland State, UCLA, Nebraska, Northwestern, Michigan, and Washington. All teams inside Autzen Stadium. 7 home games you can be a part of, but today is the last day if you are a current season ticket holder to renew your season tickets for the 2026 deadline. A new season coming up for Oregon football, a new season even closer for Oregon softball. We are less than a week away. This time next week, Oregon softball will be starting their second game of the season because it's an opening day doubleheader for Oregon softball on Friday, February 6th. It starts with Missouri, then Clemson. 2 very good teams. A very strong slate for Oregon softball, and version 8 under Coach Lombardi. The Ducks made it to the Women's College World Series last year, and now the sky is the limit. They don't want to put a finish line on this season. There is no limits for this team. A top 5 team in the country in the preseason. Coach Lombardi previewing what this Oregon softball season is going to look like. Coach talked with the media earlier in the week.
Good afternoon. I love that this is a full house, so thanks for being here. We appreciate your guys' time and dedication and just getting on this journey with us. We are excited to get the season rolling. This group has been practicing and lifting and conditioning the month of January, and that month sometimes can be a little harder than the season because it just gets a little grueling. And what I appreciate about this group is that they're a very connected team. I love their experience. I love the connection that they have with each other. They demand excellence from each other. They have a high standard, and they know how to call each other to the standard if needed. We've talked a lot this year about having an endless belief in all that we're going to do this year, an unbreakable connection. and to have no finish line. I feel like last year we talked a little bit about a finish line, and this year it's not about a finish line. It's more about how can we step on the field, whether it's at practice or in a game, and just be at our optimal best every single time. So I know we are tired of playing ourselves. We'd like to go play somebody else, and we are looking forward to heading to Florida this next week.
Coach, what's the biggest growth you think the team will have displayed from the fall, where they were first kind of getting their footing together, to now when the season's actually going to be starting?
I think with this group, the connection piece, I think the connection on and off the field, I think we're extremely talented, but just that connection piece goes such a long way. So watching them show up and start the year off at our retreat, and then getting to grow within the sport, but then also grow with each other and develop trust and loyalty and all those things that are going to be needed as we get on this journey this year.
When you're coming off such a successful season like you guys had last season, do you use that to build momentum at all, or do you treat this year kind of as a new slate?
Yeah, we're version 8. It's a different version. We've celebrated version 7 so much, and it was such an awesome ride. But what I think is great is that every version is so different, and you get to start from scratch and build upon it. And that's what I have loved that this group has done. They've just built upon it from day one. I don't think there's any comparisons, or I just don't think it really works that way. I just think every year is a new year, a new journey, and you get to see where the journey is going to take you, and how we're going to handle, the good of the journey, the adversity of the journey. Like, how does this group come together collectively?
You say it's a new journey for this team, but you got 6 returners from last year's team in the lineup. You the main 2 pitchers back as well, compared to where it was last season, where it was Paige and the Luchars at the top of the lineup, and then Lindsay coming in as a transfer. How do you feel like just the experience they were able to get last year is going to kind of help them kind of settle in early on this season?
Experience is priceless. I mean, like, anytime we can have experience, it's going to go such a long way. And I think with this team, when you look at us, you're going to feel us older, experience. It's interesting. We're older, but we're young, right? But we're very experienced. And I think that allows us to really be particular and understand what we need in the fall, what we need in the month of January. What does our first weekend look like? I just think you'll feel a very business approach from this group, but also a group that likes to have a lot of fun, have a lot of joy for the game. But I think that experience piece will be huge for us.
Talk about being older but young. You obviously got a lot of new players as well to kind of fill those roles from last year. Can you just talk about your new group and what's impressed you so far about them?
I would say their athleticism, just their ability defensively, their ability at the plate. We swiped a ton of bases last year. I think we still will. And I thought we had good power last year, but I just feel like you're going to see more power this year. I think they're very, very smart at the plate. They understand their game plans when they're facing an opponent. And I just think that experience factor, along with their athleticism, is going to put them in a good place.
You mentioned that athleticism last year. You guys stole 175 bases, but 70% of those came from the Luchars and from Paige. Is that a question of asking just a little bit more from people like Kaylin Jones to swipe some bases and Ayanna Shaw? Or is that, asking Elon Butler at the top of the lineup last year? That was something she really developed from her game at Cal, was swiping more bases. Is that something that you're going to ask a little bit more from her?
Definitely. I think with KW, you'll still see her steal the amount of bases, and hopefully more than what she did last year. Elon likes to run. Ayanna likes to run. So definitely, we're still going to run and be aggressive. I think that's been who we are since day one. I think it's just you're going to see different people doing it.
You had such a powerful freshman class last year, and now as sophomores, how have you seen them grow into the roles of being more experienced with this team and then teaching some of the younger players, how to get involved here?
Mm-hmm. I think with freshmen, what's always the hardest is just the unknown. Just not knowing can be a little bit of a stressor sometimes. And as sophomores, you know it now. You know what to expect. You know how to go about it. I think your path is just a little clearer. And being sophomores, I think all of them have always done a really good job of helping our freshmen and even newcomers that are coming in right after them, and advising them and telling them different things that they did whether it was in school or on the field or at practice, or just how they went about it to help their cause. So these guys do a really good job of taking care of each other.
Notably no left-handed pitching on this year's roster. I'm curious how you guys have attacked that and, just kind of your perspective on that.
We have an all right-handed lineup, but even though we are right-handed, we have pitchers on the staff that handle left-handed hitters very well, or handle right-handed pitchers, or can do both. So even though all of our arms are right-handed, as far as having plans and having success for lefties, I think you'll see that this year.
And taking a step from what that pitching rotation did for you last year to this season, how have you kind of seen them come along, and kind of the sky's the limit for them?
Definitely. I think this is a really deep pitching staff. Lindsay and Elise are returning, and they both had big years. They both took on a lot of strain for our team and handled themselves very well, put us in positions to win. I'm excited about Taylor. Taylor was a little banged up last year. She was healthy and then got a little banged up, and I'm looking forward to Taylor. She's done a lot of things this fall. Over the month of January, all of our scrimmages and inter squads that we're doing, she's just really developed and has really good command of her ball, for all of her pitches. And then I think about Maddie, who's a freshman, and also Rowan, who's a sophomore, so a year under her belt, and just what they can do. Rowan has a great drop ball and is going to give us a lot of ground balls, and Maddie just throws an easy 72 miles an hour. So, which is really nice to see her coming in and closing out a game where we're needing a ground ball. I think she'll feed our defense as well.
Coach, coming into the fall, in the offseason, a lot of players actually put in a lot of work trying to improve, get better. In the fall, notable people, Taylor, as you mentioned, I noticed Abby Steffen seemed to really have put in some work in the cage. Can you just speak to how that preparation, coming into the fall, and then that mindset continuing on into the season, how important that is for this team, and what your expectations are?
I do appreciate, I always get to see how hard they work in the fall and in the spring, but in the summer they all go on their own, and I will hear from them, but it's them on their own, figuring out what they want to do, what they liked that they did, what do they feel like they need to do better. And I thought everybody returned really strong, like extremely strong. We are throwing more weight around in the weight room than we've ever had, like just a very, very strong group. But with this group, what I've noticed more than anything is just the little details. And it's easy to go practice your feel-good stuff. Like, it always just feels good. But this group really gets caught up in what is it that they need to do to be better. And you could see all of them really make a push this summer. And when they came back in the fall, there was a significant difference. So Abby, the way she's swinging at the plate, the power that you're going to see. I'm excited for you all to see some athletes last year that maybe you didn't get to see as much. They're in a really good spot right now, and I think you're going to enjoy watching them play.
Obviously, it hurts to lose Paige's glove in the field, but not just the glove, but what she was as a leader for the defense. How have you seen, people like K-Dub and Katie Flannery step into those roles, leading the defense, especially on that infield?
Yes, it's, like you watch Paige Sinicki and just what an unbelievable athlete that she was, and she graduates, and you hate to see her go, but it's exciting to watch her pass the torch to our athletes that are returning. And Katie has just become a great leader for us. Watching K-Dub and how she finished at the World Series last year, you could see her really start to understand what she wanted to do and compete in all areas. Just having that experience as a freshman has gone a long way. I hear her. She's really vocal this year. Addie coming in as a transfer. She's been great. It's been awesome to watch her grow just in the short time that she's been with us. And I'm looking forward to seeing this infield group really connect, and get after it. So they've all, I feel like, have upped their leadership roles.
Part 1 of the conversation with Melyssa Lombardi, previewing version 8 of the Oregon softball season. It's a new-look crew, but there are a lot of returners. And there's more coming up from Coach Lombardi when we return after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ed Council.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Getting you geared up for Oregon softball season. Both of the Diamond Sports right around the corner. It's 2 weeks from Oregon baseball first pitch. It's 1 week from Oregon softball first pitch. And Coach Lombardi continuing to preview the season with the media yesterday. Here's part 2 of her conversation.
This year, obviously the season hasn't started yet, but what's kind of stuck out to you culture-wise with this team that you think is going to define version 8 down the stretch of the season?
Their commitment that they have to each other and this team, that's the biggest thing. Like, these guys talk a lot about how they want to pour into each other and just have really deep relationships, and to be able to celebrate when they're doing something, but then also just to be able to call each other to the standard when it's needed, and can trust and have that trust with each other, I think is really important. This group is a fun group. They love to laugh. They always have a lot of little inside jokes going on, and just, I don't know, they're just a funny group. But then when it's time to lock in and really compete, they know how to do that. So just watching that combination, I think, is pretty exciting. And I think with this group too, just knowing that the biggest thing that we do when we talk about is really just staying within our process. Don't get caught up in results. We don't need to get caught up in results. Just what does our process look like daily? And that daily will continue into what's next as we're getting into our season.
Again, your team, you played a lot of good teams down the stretch, obviously in the postseason and then into the World Series. But this tournament against Florida, you got Tennessee coming up, a lot of other good teams. How excited are you, and how excited is your team to go against some quality opponents to kick off the season?
We're really looking forward to it. I've always said in the past, like, to be the best, you got to play the best. And with this group and the experience that they have coming into the year, I felt like it allowed us to create a schedule that just coming out of the gate, we are going to face Missouri, and then we're going to face Clemson and Liberty, who we faced in our Super, and Tennessee, and then Southeast Louisiana, who knocked off LSU. So it's a tough slate, and with that, I think it requires an experienced team. I think it requires a deep team for us to expect only a few to take on strain. It doesn't make sense. We need a lot of our athletes to be able to take on strain each game. So I'm excited to see each game and what it looks like, and just how we go about it. But I'm really looking forward to the schedule that the schedule that we're taking on this year.
Kind of building off of that, like, you guys basically doing the same thing as you did last year, right? Starting off the first 3 weeks, 3 different places, all against really good opponents. Just how important is it to get off to a fast start, like you kept saying last year, for these first 3 weeks, and kind of like push you guys towards like that middle part of the season?
Yeah. I think the first 3 weeks, and it's coming out of the gates and starting fast. How do we have the ability to start fast, stay fast, finish fast? That's something that definitely won't change for us. I'm looking forward to see what it looks like, because it's going to look different this year, but it's exciting to see what it's going to look like. Think about the 3 weeks on the road, and then from there it prepares us for our opener, and then it prepares us for the Big Ten. And then I think of the schedule that we have going into the Big Ten, and then how it's going to get us ready for the Big Ten championship and postseason. So I just think everything that we do has always been very calculated. I think about how we've trained in January. We have trained to win every single day, and that is to prepare us for what is coming up this next week. So,
Coach, I know a lot of factors go into assembling a team, putting things together, but last year it was kind of the NIL arms race. A lot of teams were just kind of grabbing, top things, and it didn't really feel, it almost felt like mercenary-esque. The team that you've assembled now and kind of how that plays into the culture, how proud of you of the culture that you've established here, or that the team has established, and how the individual pieces kind of assembled and coalesced together to meet that?
I think your culture is your everything. And if you don't have a culture, or if you don't have a way of life, culture is just your way of life. How do we live life daily as a team? And if we're not doing that the right way, things are going well, you can kind of get away with it, but then you're going to hit some adversity. And when you do, then you see that we're not doing things correctly. I think this group, from day one, the first thing we did is we went on a retreat. We had nothing to do with softball. It's, to me, when I think about like what we've built here and the successes that we're having, are these guys athletic? Absolutely. But most importantly, we have the right people in this program, and they know how to connect. They know how to bring out the best in each other on the field, off the field. And I can't just emphasize like how important that piece is. And so we work really hard on that piece. We really do. These guys have a lot of pride in what we do on a daily, but just a ton of pride in being a part of Oregon softball.
Coach, coming up on your 8th opening day, I'm curious, how has the sport changed the most since you kind of took over the job? And I guess, what's kind of the biggest hurdle facing college softball staffs, players, teams right now?
I just think every year the athletes are bigger, stronger, just more experienced, more equipped. Just the sport, the game itself just is getting better and better. The technology that we have, you look at all the information that opponents have on each other. We're going to go into the weekend, and for us and for our opponent are going to know every single thing, about each team. So just the information that is out there. What I think has been amazing is just watching AUSL flourish, our pro league, and what that's doing for our sport. The fact that last year we're here at Jane Sanders Stadium, and it's Jane Sanity because it was just out of control, because people want to come watch softball. They love watching softball, and they love watching the sport and how fast it is. So to me, that's what's been really exciting, is just watching the sport, which I've always known is a great sport, just continue to grow, and people get caught up in it and just want more and more. So, when I first, goodness, I don't even know what year it is, but I'm in my maybe almost 30th year, or just under 30th year. Do you even know? I know. I guess you just kind of stop counting. But I remember back a while ago, at the World Series, you had the semifinal and the championship. Like, that was broadcasted on ESPN. Now you would think, seriously? And now you look, and all of these games that we're playing, we're going to be on the MLB network come Saturday, and just there's so many games that are broadcasted right from the beginning of the year on. You're seeing fall games that are being broadcasted, and so just watching our sport explode and others love it as much as we all love it has been really exciting for me.
You mentioned the information age kind of the sport. I'm curious, are there any data points that you specifically kind of look at or lean on, maybe are the first ones you bring up?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I think for us, it's just different. For me, I like to see what swings look like since I call the pitches. I like to see what swings look like and, where hitters spray the ball, stuff like that. What I think is pretty cool, Coach Liss, Coach Romero, they're very into spreads. You could see we'll be set up, and I'm sure some of you are like, what if they hit the ball there? Nobody is there, but statistically, the chances of hitting the ball there, right now are 0. So I think just for each coach, we're able to take, there's so many statistics, we're able to take things that we need that really help us teach our athletes and prepare our athletes for the games.
You guys are a top 5 team going into the season in the rankings. How do you deal with the expectations of that with a specific group?
Yeah, that's what we work for, and that's what we strive for every day. We want to be the best. At the end of the year, there's going to be one team that's still standing, and that's it. That's who we want to be. And what I think is important for this group is to understand where we ranked early, where we ranked as the season goes on. What does our RPI look like? Those are things that we sit down and we talk about. It's very matter of fact. We don't have to do anything. We just need to be strong with our process and get out on the field and compete. But I think in order for us to understand where we want to know, where we would like to go, we need to understand RPI, ranking, strength of schedule. As coaches, we understand that, and that's something that we provide to our athletes.
It's year number 60 of this program and then year number 10 at the Jane. Does that give you and your team a little more incentive to make this season a special one?
Yes. I love that we're celebrating 60 years of Oregon softball, and I can't wait for our alumni to get back to the Jane and get back to Eugene. We're sitting in this beautiful stadium because of the work that the women before us have done. We get all these beautiful resources and unbelievable opportunities because of our alumni and their hard work and the things that they've done ahead of us. So anytime our alumni comes, I always put them in front of our athletes. They get miserable at me, and I don't care, because I just want them to speak to our athletes and talk about what their journey looked like and give them some advice. So we are definitely celebrating 60 years, and we're celebrating it all season long. And then just to look that it's been 10 years, you would look at Jane Sanders Stadium, and the stadium is beautiful. You would not, to imagine that it's already been 10 years. It's crazy to me, and just how beautiful she is to watch this past season and the crowds that were here, and just to see the Jane absolutely packed was the reason I came here in the first place. I remember I came here as an opponent and hated and loved every bit of it. And so to be watching us in postseason hosting regionals and super regionals at the Jane and just seeing it absolutely packed, it was just unbelievable.
And here's to another season of unbelievable experiences at Jane Sanders Stadium. Jane Sanity will be back in full effect coming up. Starting next week, Oregon softball starts their season on the road. A week from today, Oregon will start their first pitch against Missouri at 10 a.m. local Pacific time. 1 p.m. local time in Florida, and then if you're here in Eugene local, it'll be 10 a.m. and then a 1 p.m. Pacific time first pitch for the second game of the season coming up against Clemson. Oregon softball season is here. I can't wait. I can't wait for the Diamond Sports to be back in action and for the second iteration of crossover season. It's going to be a whole lot of fun when both softball, baseball, and men's and women's basketball are playing at the same time, along with all the other sports here at the University of Oregon. Yeah, that's a good time. But right now, women's basketball, they're also having a good time. On the road, a long road swing. And coming off of a win against Rutgers, Chris Clayton sat down with Joey Mack yesterday to talk about Oregon women's basketball and where they're at this point in the year. It's coming up when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Winter, Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/25.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Winter, Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/25.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you on a Friday, getting you geared up for Oregon women's basketball in the midst of their East Coast road trip. Got a victory over Rutgers on Wednesday, and then tomorrow at 2 o'clock we'll play against a very good Maryland team. Chris Clayton, he sat down with Joey Mack yesterday after Oregon gaining momentum after a few wins and also preparing for a really tough opponent. Part one of the conversation with Chris Clayton and Joey Mack.
From the road, Chris Clayton joins us. All right, I got to get this out of the way first. Are we going with C squared or are we going with conduit?
Dude, I don't know. That's up to you. I feel like I shouldn't choose my own nickname.
Wait, okay.
I feel like that's a good philosophy to have.
I agree. Now, let me throw this back at you. See if the team and Coach Graves, because Coach Graves is the one that named you conduit. And then Ari Long just goes, C squared.
Avery Kane.
And Avery Kane.
Yeah.
No, I heard Ari. Didn't Ari do it too?
Oh, I think she did, yeah.
So like Avery Kane this week goes C squared. Thanks, C squared. And I was like, okay, well, now let me throw this at you, because then we're going to check the box of what the team calls you and what Coach Graves calls you. Why aren't you C cubed? Chris Conduit Clayton.
Oh, now you're thinking. But that one doesn't flow as well.
doesn't.
I feel like C squared.
Doesn't.
I think conduit is one that Kelly Graves mentioned, but I don't think it's like something that flows off the tongue and everybody's just saying, hey, conduit.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
not one
with
that
ya.
really. So I would lean towards C squared, but I also don't like to come out and make a proclamation as to what my nickname should be.
But C squared can also refer to you and Sports Information Director Chris Brown.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you get an overload of Chris's, it gets confusing. So sometimes people will say Christopher or C squared or the C's. Like if Chris Brown and I are walking together, it was like, what's up, C's? Or what's up, boys? Or what's up,
Yeah,
Chris's?
it's too difficult.
So you just embrace it. If we hear Chris, just look over and see who they're talking to.
What does Bev call you?
Just Chris.
Yeah.
Just
So
nothing
just
fancy.
Chris. Cue the Barbie song. Just Chris. Chris Clayton joins us. Hey, nice to get back on the winning side of things. A little 2-game winning streak for the Ducks now, Chris. And I think it's a good point here to remind everyone that Oregon's a few possessions away from being a few games over 500 in Big Ten play. Unpack that for everyone, because I know Coach Graves mentioned that a couple times recently.
Absolutely. And first of all, before we go into this, the coaching staff, Kelly Graves, they always say no excuses. You don't like to go into hypotheticals. But let's be honest here. They are so close to being not just they're sitting at 4-6. A winning record in the Big Ten, they would probably be top 25, maybe even top 20 in the country. And the the vibes and the energy around the team would be even better than it already is. There's reason to be optimistic when you watch this team, when you look at the results. But, let's go back to those games that we're talking about that were so close. We'll start with Michigan in double overtime. So close. Ample opportunities to make key free throws, close out the game. They didn't. But they proved that's a Michigan team that just has continued to win since then. They're a top 10 team in the country. Shoulda, woulda, coulda won that game. That would be a huge, massive win for the Ducks. Michigan State was a game the Ducks were in position to potentially win. It was an 85-81 final, but Oregon had the lead by 16 points in the first half in that game. So if Oregon just has a few more possessions go their way, they limit their mistakes, maybe a moving screen that you clean up here, or you are able to get a loose ball here, or you get a foul call that goes your way here, all of a sudden you beat Michigan State, who's 13th in the country right now. And that would change everything. Wisconsin, I hate to even think about this game. This was painful. The Ducks were up 6 points with 30 seconds. I am almost to the point where I say on the broadcast, Oregon going to be going into next game with a win, feeling good.
Good thing you didn't. Good work. Bravo.
Although I guess it didn't help. I mean, it's still, we went downhill, but yeah, it was. That's one where they got away from them, and so that's one where if they play that scenario out 100 times, 98 or 99 of those, Oregon closes out that game and win. But they didn't, and that's part of the positive side of things where you flip those games around, and all of a sudden the Ducks are a top 25 team in the country. On the other side of things, it's also about learning how to close games and talking with these players, talking with these coaches. They always say, coaches, Coach Graves and Jody Berry, and they've been telling us since October every possession matters, but when the reality and the lesson really hits you when you experience it and you get the heartbreak and you get the tears of a close loss, then it really hits home. And it's not that the players don't know that, but when you get tired, you get in the flow of the game, the pressure's on, you make more mistakes than usual. And Oregon's just made a few too many mistakes.
Chris Clayton with us. You led to my next question, which is you hear from Coach Graves, no excuses. You hear from the student athletes, no excuses. However, there's learning moments in those close games, right, to close out games. And I will say I've been impressed in the last two games in particular, Chris. There's something to be said for pulling away from a team that you should pull away from, I think, right? Like, don't let it be as close as it was against Wisconsin. I think the Ducks have learned in that manner. Don't you? Doesn't it feel that way right now?
Absolutely. The way Bev Smith described it is the killer instinct.
Right.
Is really growing in this team. And I think back to maybe it was a Wisconsin game, maybe it was earlier, but that Penn State game, it's close, they're hanging around, it feels like Oregon's in control, but last Saturday, boom, huge third quarter, 34-11. And then they started it even earlier against against Rutgers yesterday. They get a back and forth first quarter with 7 lead changes, and then Atute hits a wild one-leg three, and boom, they just dominate the second quarter, and they keep their foot on the gas and put them away. So that killer instinct to put opponents that you're better than away, it's really important. And I think winning the games you're supposed to, but also dominating the games you're supposed to, it matters. In 2026 now, in this era of college basketball, the net rankings is an aspect that the selection committee in the NCAA tournament looks at. The net rankings factors in not just who you played, who you beat, but how did you do it, your efficiency ratings, your dominance. And Oregon, through all this, with a 16-7 record, 4-6 in Big Ten play, is also 23 in the net rankings. So, yes, I think some fans think about their experiences at Matthew Knight Arena where Oregon had a couple heartbreaking losses, but Oregon's in a fantastic position. So if they can finish these games out here looking forward, there's ample opportunities for quad one wins, and all of the Ducks' dreams and high aspirations are still in front of them and very much possibility.
You heard Coach Lombardi talking about Oregon softball, talking about how she's talking with her team about understanding the RPI and the analytics and how their resume stacks up. You're hearing it from Chris Clayton talking about how Oregon women's basketball and their resume stacks up and the analytical value of Oregon in comparison with the rest of the teams in the country as it comes to seeding and selection into the NCAA tournament and what seed Oregon will ultimately end up being come March. It's important this time of year. And ultimately, Oregon sitting in a good analytical spot, but still opportunities for some big wins. A big win coming up and an opportunity coming up on Saturday against a very good Maryland team. Joey Mack and Chris Clayton continue to preview that matchup, what that win could mean for Oregon and the rest of this Oregon women's basketball season, all coming when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
We are back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano, Chris Clayton, and Joey Mack having a conversation. Well, Chris Clayton and Joey Mack are the ones having the conversation. I'm just telling you about the conversation. The second part of it, part two, Chris Clayton, Joey Mack previewing Oregon women's basketball in their game coming up tomorrow against Maryland, as well as so much more on the Oregon women's basketball scope. Here's part two of this conversation.
When you talk about net rankings, the next opponent, big game on Saturday, 2 o'clock start Pacific time, 1:30 pregame show with Chris Clayton. Oregon 23 in the net. Well, Maryland is at 17. They have very similar resumes. The difference is Ducks have played, I would say, more quad 1 and 2 games and meaningful games at this point in terms of where you are in the upper echelon of the net. But Maryland's got 3 quad 1 wins. Ducks have 1. So here's an opportunity, right, for the Ducks now back to a really good Big Ten team in Maryland.
That's the thing that's missing, I think, for Oregon's resume from the national perspective, is they're looking at Oregon and they're saying, well, they beat USC, good win. It's a quad 1 win. USC, despite their record, is a easily NCAA tournament team, and that's a quad 1 win. But I think from the national perspective, they're saying, okay, Oregon has beat the teams they're supposed to, but they haven't proven to us that they can beat the upper echelon teams. Well, it starts right now. Oregon has a chance to beat those upper echelon teams, and it starts with Maryland. This is a Maryland team that has wins over Princeton, who's top 20 in the country. They beat Kentucky. They won at Minnesota as well, who the Ducks learned is a very good team themselves and receiving votes in the national top 25. So that's those 3 quad 1 wins where Maryland cemented themselves as a ranked team and maybe even a Sweet 16 team towards the end of the year. But, we'll go into Maryland in a second, but looking at Oregon's next 5 games here, there's huge opportunities to open eyes on the national stage. I think as Duck fans, we all know this is a good team. They're exciting. They've shown glimpses. Here's the chance now looking forward. Number 16, Maryland. Then they play Illinois, who's receiving votes in the national poll. Number 11, Ohio State at Matthew Knight Arena. Then they go to Seattle to play Washington. And then they're playing number 24, Nebraska. So you don't have to win all those, but those are quad 1 win opportunities to really completely turn the tide of the perception and the seeding come the NCAA tournament in March. Because
they've taken care of business against everybody else, right? To your point, I mean.
Yep. Just the Wisconsin game is the only one where they would probably say they shouldn't have lost it. Right. Outside of that, they've taken care of business. And, Maryland's going to be fun. It's a Maryland team that is about offensive rebounding and attacking off the dribble, slashing. They don't have traditional bigs necessarily with post-ups, but they've got long, versatile players that can really get to the rim. So Oregon's going to have to lean on their defense. So Ari Long, Sophia Bell, their ability to defend ball handlers is going to be crucial. And also defensive rebounding. And that's an area that Oregon has been inconsistent this year. So I think if you talk to Kelly Graves, he's going to really say we have to rebound to have a chance because Maryland is top 10 in the nation in offensive rebound percentage.
You talked about Ari Long there. I mean, Ari Long's coming off a double-double, right? So that rebounding suddenly, and she had, 6 in 1 quarter against Rutgers, right? Yes. I mean, I feel like Ari Long can be a real, maybe key, but I was going to say X factor here for Oregon, especially in the rebounding category.
It's amazing the impact Ari Long has on the game, oftentimes without scoring. She's scoring lately, 4 games in a row in double figures. The way Kelly Graves described it in our post-game conversation, he said, anything she gives us offensively is just bonus points. That's the type of impact she has defensively. She's a capable outside shooter and a capable scorer, but she is such a dominant player on the defensive end that they aren't needing her to score consistently. Her quick hands, her ability to move her feet, and now this blossoming ability to rebound the basketball is really helping this Oregon team. I'm glad you brought up Ari Long because in games where Oregon is competing with these top tier teams, it's usually when Ari Long is making a huge impact on defense. I think with her length and her quickness, there's not a lot of defenders that can impact the game like she can. And part of the emphasis for Oregon as they continue to improve their rebounding, which has been one of their weaknesses this year, is it's about the guards crashing the glass. And that includes Ari Long, who had those 12 rebounds. So it's nice to hear and to see the coaches constantly getting on the team about rebounding. It came to light. Ari Long heard it. She attacked the glass and had an incredible game rebounding the ball. But, yes, it's just phenomenal the impact and the special defensive player that Ari Long is for this Ducks team.
Final thoughts for Chris Clayton. We talked before about the depth of this team, and I think a lot of fans, especially you talk about the backcourt depth, right? Like, what's it going to look like without Elise Amevius? Ducks have had their share of sickness, injuries, particularly of late, but I'm curious, Chris, just the perspective on the depth of this team, because I do think that it's been a real benefit to Oregon. They've had different players rise at different points in this season. I would say early on, Mia Jacobs, it was like, okay, everyone's got to know you got to stop Mia Jacobs. Katie Fiso has had, as Coach Graves described, right, like got to go with the different lineup to win at different times. The Ducks have been able to do that at times this year.
Absolutely. 7 different players this season have led the Ducks in scoring.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. And, as the season's gone on, things have evolved where suddenly Avery Kane is shooting the ball extremely well. She's shooting 43% from 3 in conference play, so she's stepping up. And you have the balance for this team. You have a Tute who's scoring in post-up situations. Mia Jacobs knocking down threes at a 41% clip. Fiso scoring from all over the court and playmaking. That floor balance, I think, has really helped this offense. And I still don't think For example, we've seen the best of Estera Tuhina. I think she's still getting comfortable and settling in and figuring out her role. Remember, she played at Washington State, was a Pac-12 champion there. Honorable mention, all Pac-12 selection. So she's trying to kind of figure out her role and carve out her space. But I think she has more to give in terms of her talent and experience, and I think it's only going to show as this season progresses. You know, we see it year after year where you get to near February and you think you have a team figured out, and suddenly somebody steps up. You know, Sarah Rambis has had her moments with a career-high 20 points just a couple games ago. So the luxury for this team is this is the deepest team in a few years that the Ducks have had, and I just think it's only growing and improving game to game. And whenever opponents feel like they have the Ducks figured out, all of a sudden they bring somebody else in. We'll just say Sarah Barhoum, for example. She came in against Iowa and hit a couple threes to keep the Ducks in the game on the road. And, you know, she's not somebody that gets consistent huge minutes right now, but she's a very much a weapon and the best three-point shooter in the history of high school basketball in Oregon. So it's pretty incredible what type of weapons and puzzle pieces Coach Graves can put in when the situation forces it.
He's Chris Clayton. He's got a 1:30 pregame show coming up on Saturday. Oregon facing Maryland, a battle of two top 25 teams in the net. Looking forward to it. 1:30 pregame, 2 o'clock tip right here on the Oregon Sports Network on Saturday. All right, Chris, enjoy D.C., huh? Get to see some sights, all right?
Yes, and the team is touring the Capitol on Friday, so that's going to be a cool opportunity for the team to check out D.C., do some sightseeing, and enjoy the cold and the snow. So thanks for having me.
The cold and the snow. Chris Clayton, 1:30 pregame show on Saturday. Thanks, buddy.
That is the conduit, telling everybody what they need to know about Oregon women's basketball. Also, I don't know if I've ever been more glad to live in the Pacific Northwest than precisely right now. I went out on a run this morning in a T-shirt, and I feel bad for Oregon women's basketball, who is currently in the midst of their snowstorm right now. So safe travels to Oregon women's basketball after a successful game tomorrow against Maryland. Coming up, 2 o'clock Saturday, 1:30 pregame against a very good Maryland team, an opportunity to get a big road win for Oregon women's basketball. An opportunity for so many more athletic programs, track and field at the Razorback Invitational, and some pretty strong early season notoriety for Oregon acrobatics and tumbling, and more. Coming up when we return, it's Stuck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously. The best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now.
Scott and I are having some fun here on a Friday, closing out the show, getting ready for the weekend. And it is a pretty packed weekend in Oregon athletics. So many different athletic programs in action, including Oregon Indoor Track and Field, who are in Arkansas at the Razorback Invitational. It is combined events time right now early in the day on Friday. Have Peyton Bear currently sitting in first place in the heptathlon through the first three events of the men's heptathlon. Aiden Carter also inside the top 10. The women's pentathlon also going on right now, and then we'll get into so many different more individual events throughout the course of the weekend. Also for Oregon acrobatics and tumbling, the Ducks got honored as the second ranked team in the country according to the NCATA, the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association preseason coaches poll. The Ducks have won 3 event finals and finished as a national runner-up last season and are one of 4 teams to receive first-place votes, joining Baylor, who's ranked number 1, Quinnipiac, who's ranked number 3, and one other team who have first-place votes. The other team was actually unranked but received a first-place vote. It marks the second time that Oregon is number 2 in the preseason ranking under Coach Taylor Susnara. The Ducks have not been ranked lower than 5th in the preseason poll since 2021 when Susnara took over the program. All but one of Oregon's 2026 opponents are ranked inside of the top 15. The Ducks' schedule includes number 3 Quinnipiac, number 4 Iona, and number 9 Gannon, as Oregon will also go on the road to face number 13 Hawaii Pacific and number 1 Baylor in both home and road meets. Oregon opens up the 2026 season at Missouri State on February 8th. Tickets for all Oregon home meets, including the home opener against number 3 Quinnipiac on February 21st, are on sale at GoDucks.com. Congratulations, Coach Susnara's crew, for the early season recognition, sitting at number 2 in the country, trying to climb up one spot by the end of the season in that poll. You know that Oregon will always be in the mix in acrobatics and tumbling as the season continues to wind through and come to a close, but it's not even beginning yet, as we're starting in little less than a few weeks to get on the acrobatics and tumbling scene, along with Oregon softball starting next week and Oregon baseball starting on February 13th. Also going on this weekend, we talked about Oregon women's basketball, who's going on the road to play against Maryland. A 2 o'clock tip for Oregon women's basketball, 1:30 pregame on the Oregon Sports Network. That's on Saturday against the number 16 ranked Maryland Terrapins, and an opportunity for a big win for Oregon women's basketball. Also, women's golf going to be in action at the Therese Hessian Regional Challenge coming up this weekend starting on Sunday. Oregon women's tennis traveling to play number 22nd ranked Texas Tech on Sunday as well, and men's tennis going on the road to play Santa Clara on Sunday. Also, Oregon men's basketball hosting Iowa, 5 o'clock on Friday. A packed weekend of Oregon athletics. I'll be back on Monday to break it all down. Go Ducks, everybody.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.